Sometimes something comes into your life and touches your life so deep, so deep, so you are never the same person. For me, it was about 6 years ago. For my guest today, it was about 20 years ago. I'm so honored to introduce today one special person, and stay with us. Hello, beautiful souls from all over the world. In the next hour, we will share and spread Reiki light. I'm Reiki teacher. I live in Belgrade. My name is Tanja Zivkovic. I am in Reiki about 6 years, and I'm Reiki teacher about 5 years. And I have an honor today. Frans Stiene from Holland, one beautiful international Reiki teacher, will be my guest. And I'm so proud he will be today here. We will talk about Reiki. So don't be mind on me because it is my first live on English language. I have so big desire to work this with him. And I invited him to be my guest. Now to join us, Frans. Just a second to wait. Okay. Can I hear you?
Wonderful. I can hear you. I can see you. Fantastic.
Okay. Me too. Hello, my beautiful friends from all over the world. It is my big honor today to have such a special guest. Maybe he doesn't know, he isn't my Reiki teacher, he knows that, but 6 years ago, when I started my Reiki way, I learned from everything, from everywhere, from each video, not only for my scripts, not only for my Reiki classes. My love with Reiki was on the first sight, but not at all. And in that time, your videos came to my life, and completely changed my view on Reiki. I thought Reiki is only hand-on healing, and it's only while I'll do my Reiki treatment that is Reiki. And it is 1% of Reiki. But I will not talk in front. Let's see who's today with us. Frans, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Frans Stiene. I live in Holland, very close to Amsterdam. I lived also in Australia for 20 years. I've been teaching for the last 25 years full-time the system of Reiki through the whole world, Japan, Australia, America, Europe, you name it. Written quite a few books. My latest book, The Way of Reiki, came out in November last year, so really excited. And I'm a bit like you. When I first started to practice the system of Reiki, I learned in a very modern kind of style. It was very much just about hands-on, and that's it. And
can you from start? I'm sorry for interrupting you. For people which didn't hear any word about Reiki, in your Reiki session, which is on video, you so beautiful explain Reiki. How will you explain Reiki for somebody who doesn't hear for Reiki till now?
I would explain it actually as a Japanese practice, what promotes healing, but then healing that not a life of not being angry and worried, a life of being grateful, being true to your way and your being, and compassionate to yourself and others. So in one way, for me, it's a life of being peaceful, loving, caring, compassionate. And the side effect of that is that if we're not caught up in that anger and worry and fear, then our energy starts to flow really freely through our body. So therefore we can also start to do hands-on healing on other people. But as you said, it's a very small little element of the system of Reiki. And Yeah, because yeah, when I first learned the system of Reiki, it was all about hands-on healing. And where I lived at that time, I lived in the Himalayas for a year. There were lots of healers, and when I talked to these healers, they had one thing in common. They all did it differently, but one thing was in common, that they had their own very strict personal meditation practice to really facilitate this flow of healing. And I go like, wow, you know, and when I received healing from these people, it was very beyond the hands-on healing I received from people who had not done this, right? So I was really intrigued, and I go like, I want what they have, you know, their energy, not only the energy, but the state of mind it triggered within me was just so much peace, so much spaciousness, so much openness, really that softening of that ego in a way. And therefore I started to do research. And in 2001, we went to Japan for the first time and trained with Japanese teachers. And that really set a whole lot of different things in motion, because I wanted to find why I wasn't taught very specific meditations, just hands-on healing. Oh, you do hands-on healing and you go to sleep and that's it. And I go like, it sounds nice.
Something missing.
So yeah, so that was when I first went to Japan in 2001. Yeah, really start to investigate what Mikosu was trying to practice or teach us, and that became a very interesting journey.
Okay, and when you first met Reiki, how was your feeling? When I first met Reiki, it was about 9 years ago. I bought a book about Reiki, and I thought it is a personal development book, and I thought, okay, that's good. When I started to reading, and I saw meditations, initiations, classes, I said to myself, no, that would be no part of my journey. That's not for me. I work in bank. I'm economist on my primary. And I said, no, no, no. It was about 9 years ago. About 8 years ago, I did first Reiki treatments at my friend's home. She finished Reiki course and invited me to be her guest. And I was so tired. I was working in bank. I didn't do meditation. No, no, no. I even started just a little bit work on myself, but not something deeply, just shallow. And I went to her home. When I lay on bed, I just fall asleep. And after 45 minutes, I go to home. And about 8 years ago, if you ask me, Tanya, what is Reiki? I said, I don't know. You go, you sleep there on their bed, you sleep some, you listen some relaxed music, and you go home. And that is my first Reiki experience. And I didn't want Reiki to come in my life, but Reiki tried to come in my life a year after that, when my partner we have a very, very hard year, and he has the complications of diabetes mellitus, and he came to hospital and almost didn't survive. And in the hospital they didn't know what to work with him. And in that time of my life, some Reiki person came, my friend from Facebook. I didn't know her. She just came in my life and she said, I can work Reiki to him. I'm sorry, I don't have money. I didn't work. He didn't work. It was so hard years, 2016 in our lives. And Reiki comes in our lives, I think, when it is needed the most.
Yeah.
If we don't accept it before it, I had 2 years before it chance to receive Reiki in my life, but I'm so afraid. I was so afraid of Reiki and all that stuff, meditations. I read a lot, not for me. We'll talk about it. And in the hardest time in my life, Reiki came. I didn't believe in that time, even in Reiki in person.
Yeah.
Of course, Reiki on distance, no way, Jose. And I saw the medicaments didn't work of his health, on his health. She worked Reiki with him. He's sleeping like a baby. He doesn't have pains. All the symptoms he had went down.
Wow.
I just watch and I can't believe what's happening, because I don't believe. I still don't believe.
Yeah.
And what's happening after that, she's working with him. She said, I don't want money. If you don't have money, I will just help. One day you'll help me. And that was later on. And she just worked with him. I don't believe, but it works. I don't believe, but it works.
I mean, that's it, right? When we really feel this for ourselves, and I think this is anything like what we do. I mean, I can talk about this cup of tea, and it is a beautiful Japanese tea, but unless you taste it, then you can really, oh, actually, I like it or I don't like it, or yeah.
Did you afraid of Reiki? How you met Reiki and how Reiki start to be the way of your life? Did you have some beautiful experience? You said in the Bali, all was good in your life. You were so perfect in health, in everything, and then Reiki and everything comes, or something different.
No, I wasn't actually feeling that well. I had, from when I was a kid till I was about 30, I had problems with my back, with my spine. So I always suffered from sciatica, nerve pain, back pain. I had physiotherapy. They couldn't do anything with it. So I get nice painkillers. So in my late 20s, I felt I was going downhill. And so I was living in Holland at the time with Roman, my ex, and then we moved to India and we traveled around there. And then we went to a local healer. And this lady comes from a female Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And she was doing some healing in a room, one by one. She picked people. And when I came to her, I was like, I don't know what happened, right? Now I think I know what happened. And it was like there was no Frans. It was, if you asked me if it lasted 1 minute or 1 day or 1 year, I would have believed you both. I cried. The heat was intense from my crown to my toes. And then the next day, all I wanted to do was buy books on spirituality, and I'd never really had done that. And so then we started to travel, and so I bought books on Buddhism, on Hinduism, whatever I could get my hands on, and I was reading. And one day I bought a book about the system of Reiki, and there were hand positions in it. And so I remember sitting on the edge of the bed doing, oh, okay, now I have to do this, and I have to do this. I'm going, yeah, that feels nice. I feel calm. I think also I started to make friends with my body. I think, we are so, particularly in our modern world, disconnected from our body, and that is also something I really noticed in when I train in Japan or where I lived in the Himalayas. There's so that embodiment, and we see spirituality as something outside of our body, something also far away. It's something we have to attain in the future, but actually it's right now. And so I can see, for example, within the Reiki presets, you see them in Japanese hanging behind me. It says today. It doesn't say tomorrow. It doesn't say in 10 years' time, but today. And I think this is really important. In the precepts also, they don't talk about hands-on healing, but really it's a state of mind of no anger, no worry, etc. And if we in that state of mind, of course, our whole body relaxes. If we feel less angry, less worried, less fearful. And that also, this anger and worry points towards the past and the future. So if we can soften that and really live in the present moment, and also in the present moment, don't get caught up in the past and future, because we don't do this in the past, but then we also don't do this in the future. So when I started to practice that, there was something in that for me when I first started to do this hands-on healing on myself. I had no clue. And so one day I met a Reiki teacher in Kathmandu, and we did a Reiki class. It was very funny. He was smoking pot. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but I was also a little bit dissatisfied. I felt there was more. I needed to learn more. I thought it was too simple, too, I don't know, it didn't hit something I felt what it should hit. And, but then very strangely, we started to set up a Reiki center in the Himalayas in Darjeeling for a year and helping the local community as a volunteer thing. And that was a great lesson because we worked with people with all sorts of illnesses, diseases, and then, you know, we met up with some modern Reiki or Western Reiki teachers or practitioners, and they go, oh, but don't you need to do this? Or, for example, don't you need to protect yourself? Protect yourself? Yeah. Talking about it. No, I've never done this, and I don't feel the need to do it either. And so, yeah, these questions became to arise. Where is actually the system of Reiki coming from? What was really being taught? All of these questions started to bubble up. And that was one of the reasons we wanted, and I think also needed to go to Japan. So I trained with different Japanese Reiki teachers, met with lots of different Japanese Reiki teachers, and I still felt that there was something missing. You know, I needed more. And so in 2012, I started to train with a Japanese priest in a small little monastery in the mountains of Japan. I'm going again this year for 10 days, one-on-one. It's very intense. They come from a very intense tradition. You wake up at 4 in the morning and you finish at like 12. You only have a few hours sleep, but you practice a lot, really, about that embodiment. And that really, when I first went to see him in 2012, that really changed the way I started to view the system of Reiki in a big time. And yeah, it started to make more sense also, you know, and again, we don't see anything about hands-on healing in a way within the precepts. It's really about a state of mind. And that state of mind is so important because energy follows the mind. So if I do hands-on healing and I fall asleep, then I'm not doing hands-on healing, I'm sleeping, you know, and so we also be very honest with ourselves. It's the same. If I'm talking to you and I suddenly start to drink tea and look out of the window, then I'm not talking to you. I'm actually engaging with something very different. So I think if we need to have this clarity within our practice, and I started to see it very much as like that Mikosui created a very precise recipe. So a recipe to today lead a life of no anger, no worry, being grateful, being true to our inner being, and being compassionate to ourselves and others. But if we don't follow the right recipe, then we don't get the desired result, right? If I want to make a cake and I just throw everything in, I go like, yeah, whatever, and I'm half asleep while I do it, then of course I might open the oven and I go, why is my cake not edible? And I can't eat it. I might need to throw it out. So if we really follow that correct recipe Mikosui showed us in his teachings, then we get the right result. But we need to do it in the right order, in the right way, and with the right practice as well.
I want to ask you Reiki on West and Reiki on East, because you traveled a lot and you met a lot of different cultures, a lot of different religions. And I want to ask you one more question about Reiki and religion. Many people have fears about it because they think if they practice Reiki, they will not be in their faith, they will lose their faith, they will lose their religion. Can you explain that? Because
actually lots of different people, Catholic monks and nuns, like a Catholic, one of my oldest students, and he's a teacher still, he's now almost 90. He's a brother of some Christian organization. And I've taught people who are Buddhist, who are other religions, Muslim, Hindu, you name it. And one thing I find very fascinating is that, again, if they practice in the right way, all of them say, oh, I feel actually now deeper connected to my religion than previously. So it's not a replacement. And even, for example, I have people who practice Taoism or yoga instructors or teachers, and when they start to practice the system of Reiki, they, again, we should not see it as something different. We should see it as tools to the same path. So for example, I have a cup of tea here and I have water. Both lessen my thirst. Some days, moments I want a cup of tea, some moments I want water, but the aim is the same thing. So sometimes I think also we get very confused by these words, like for example, Reiki. And then we say, oh, Reiki is a different vibration than yoga or than Tai Chi. But then we caught up in words, because traditionally the word Reiki meant your true self, your Buddha nature, or in Japanese also sometimes called Kami, your inner divine being. And it's not something out there, it's really you right here in this moment, right? In our body, that divine being who's you. And it's the same as yoga. Yoga actually traditionally means to yoke, what means to unify. And what is that? That to unify your divine being right now in your physical body. Same with Taoism. So if we get caught up and see it as something different, like a religion or the system of Reiki or yoga, etc., then we get really confused. But actually, they're the same paths or the same different roads, but to the same goal. Like same, this is different than this. My tea is different than my water, and yet it does the same thing. It lessens my thirst. And if we start to work with a system like that, it's much easier.
One my Reiki student was in India about 10 years ago, and she talked to me one story from India. In India, there is some temple which have seven gates, and on each gate, each religion people of each religion have its gate, and everybody comes to the same place, to the center of the temple. That's the story.
Yeah, I was when I was living in India. I was for a while in this place, and they had this little temple. And in a temple, it was one temple, and there was in the middle of this room was a low wall, and on one side was a Hindu priest, and the other side was a Tibetan, and it was just wonderful to see this. So we get so caught up. I think also when we get caught up in it's Japanese or it's Tibetan or it's Hindu, or then we get caught up in the cultural element, but that your true nature, your true essence is not Dutch, it's not Polish, it's not Russian, it's not English, it's not American, it's nothing, it's like, it's really, your essence is bright and luminous and clear. And it's not bound to a religion, it's not bound to a country, it's not bound to anything at all. And so when we go deeper into the system of Reiki, we might even feel that we're not practicing the system of Reiki anymore over time, because instead of going like this, we go more like this. Our mind becomes more and more open-minded, and therefore we let go of these labels we put onto it, and we realize that it's just a means to lay bare this luminosity, your inner beauty, your inner divine being, what ultimately cannot be put a label on. We cannot give it a name. But it's very difficult if we practice something without a name for us human beings, because we need to put a certain box, etc. We need to give it certain labels. But even, for example, the Dalai Lama said, at one moment, I need to let go of saying that I'm a Buddhist, because then you're still saying I am, right? You're still involved with holding on to I, instead of letting go of the I. And then I am a Reiki teacher, I am a Reiki master, I am a Buddhist, I am this, I am is constantly I, but actually instead just be. And that just being Reiki or being whatever it is has no labels. It's label free. And this is why Mikusui in Reiki 3 in Shinpoden traditionally was called Shinpoden, and Shinpoden actually means mystery teachings. It doesn't even mean teacher level, it just means mystery teachings. And it's about the mystery of you, the mystery of the universe, the mystery of life. And the symbol and mantra used within this level, if you translate it, means great bright light. It's your own inner great luminosity. And again, we cannot stick any label on that. But this is why these teachers of old often said, for example, in Taoism, if you name the Tao, it's not the Tao anymore.
Yes.
Or use drawings or poetry to point something out with what we cannot really point out because it's so vast, it's so open, it's so spacious, it's so bright.
I remember one your story about Reiki, how you explain how Reiki works on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you put some light,
yeah,
and put some things on that light. Can you explain Reiki on that way? Because many of people didn't saw that your video, if you remember.
yeah.
On Reiki conference in Australia, I think you explained that so clear. I was so.
I still talk. I actually still use this imagery in my Reiki 1, 2, and 3 classes because it's so simple. And it's when you have a lamp and the lamp is on, it's bright, and we put lampshades over it. Then maybe if we put so many lampshades over it, we don't see that the light is on, right? And so our innate light is always on. We don't have to add more to it. We cannot take anything away from it. It's just like the sun. Today it's half sunny, half cloudy. But some days it's cloudy and we don't see the sun. Doesn't mean the sun is not there, right? And then when we take away these lampshades, then we say, oh, the light is becoming brighter. Yes, on one point, the light is becoming brighter. But if we look at the lamp itself, the lamp never changed, right? It's the same if the clouds go away. Oh, it's becoming sunnier. Well, yes, at one level, but the true level is that the sun never increased and said, oh, now I'm going to shine more light in Holland because and the same in the night. And it is no one in Holland says, click, now the light, the sun is out. It's there, but we don't see it. So we don't see our own inner luminosity due to putting all these fears and worries, anxieties, etc., over it. And no matter if we practice yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, the system of Reiki, all of these practices, or also Christianity or Buddhism, etc., is peeling away these layers so that we can see, oh, that divine luminous light has always been on. In fact, it's always there, except I have not seen it. I was ignorant. I only focused on the clouds. And this is what we normally do, right? We focus constantly on these negative thoughts, right? The negative thought patterns, or on the eye. So we focus constant on the clouds, and then we don't see that spacious, open sky, what is bright, is already there. We don't have to add more to it. So we don't have to add Reiki to ourselves. Is actually already here, but we don't see it. We think, therefore, sometimes that we have to grab it from, it hangs outside of ourselves and we have to channel it and then we do it. But actually, it's right here, right at this moment. You are already this luminous, great, bright light. And that is what Mikusui constantly pointed out within the precepts, within the symbols and mantras. And therefore, in a way, we have to retrain ourselves to not get caught up in the lampshades and not get caught up in the clouds. And when we do this, then automatically we start to see that wide open space because it's already there. Automatically we start to see this great luminosity because it's already there. It's not something external. It's not something what we have to add to it. In the beginning, we might feel we're adding energy or light to ourselves, but that is an illusion. It's the same if I now make this room really dark and I switch on the light and I put lots of lampshades over it, and then I peel the lampshades away and I said, oh, the room is getting brighter. That's true. The light is getting lighter. That is not true. The room gets brighter, yes, but the light never got brighter. It was already bright in the first place.
That is when people come to Reiki treatment, after Reiki treatment, they said, I have feeling like I lost 50 pounds on myself because of all of that layers, and they feel so great. And I want to ask you, can Reiki heal everything? And what are benefits of Reiki?
That is a really good question. I think for me, I think it also depends on the person. So it depends on how much we practice. So if I look at practicing on myself, so not really going for hands-on healing, but practicing for myself, that really depends on how much we practice, if it is our path or not. You know, some people, I always compare it a little bit like going out for a restaurant. Some people like Thai food and say, oh man, this is really, I love it. And other people go like, I don't really like it. I'd rather have pasta and pizza. So it's the same for us. We have to find our modality, what works for us. So for some people, maybe yoga is that, or Christianity, or Hinduism, or the system of Reiki. So investigate. The only problem we have now is that we don't really investigate deeply enough. So we do a practice, we don't follow the right recipe, and then we go like, it didn't really work, right? And I'd rather look for something else. And then we do that. And again, we don't follow the right recipe. And again, doesn't work. And now we've become what they call like a jack of all trades and a master of none. So the practice is really making sure that we do the right recipe, and then do it again and again and again and again and again. It's a little bit like when we do a scientific test, right? These days, it's lots of about science. And to do a really good scientific test and have an official outcome, the scientists need to do it thousands of times to see if it's exactly the same outcome, right? So it's the same for ourselves. We need to do it again and again. For example, certain Buddhist teachers, they say, okay, if you chant a mantra for 3 million times or 4 million times, you might become a good healer. We do it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, and then we go like, yeah, that didn't really work. That didn't really do it for me. Because we're so used to having a painkiller and, oh, it's gone. You know, we pop one pill or we do one thing and then we feel better. So also when we do hands-on healing on someone, I think it really depends on the practitioner and also the client. So what is their relationship? So that also very dependent. And then I think also what we think is healing, right? So these days we're also very much focused on the healing of a physical ailment, right? A pain in your knee, a pain in your back, my headache, those kind of things. But Mikasui actually didn't mention any of the physical elements in his precepts. All he did was mention mental elements. So I always say, if I start to work with the system of Reiki, so hands-on healing, precepts, working with the precepts, not just think about it, but really working and engaging with them, working with the symbols and mantras, working with the meditation practices and Reiki or attunement initiation. When we work with all of those and we apply it again and again and again, not just once, not just 10 times, but like for quite a few years, really engaging with it in the right way, then maybe a physical issue is not healed, but maybe we feel less angry, less worried. Maybe we feel more grateful, right? Maybe I have a skeleton issue already from birth. It's not going to miraculously heal. Maybe it does. But if my mind is calmer and loving and caring about it, then that becomes something quite different. So therefore also we have to really see what is the most profound healing. Or in other words, if we look at the precepts, it says compassion to yourself and others. So what is the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself? It says, Mikasui said, lay bare your great bright light, your luminosity. We all die. We all fall over. Maybe we break something. But if we break something or get an illness, but we have laid bare this luminosity, then we know that this is just a jacket. We don't make a big drama out of it. And this is when we can see these old yogis or Japanese teachers or Tibetan teachers or shamans, even if they do get sick or die, no drama, no anger, no worry, except when we get sick, when a normal person who hasn't practiced, we make a drama out of it. We get pain in our throat. Oh, I'm so sick. I'm going to oh, it's really bad, like this. But actually, then we connecting to those clouds again. So even if you do get sick, don't hold on to it. Don't try to fight it. Go beyond it. Remember this wide open spaciousness, and then the cloud actually softens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is really what we need to do.
Okay. I want to ask you one more question, maybe more. When is the perfect time to learn Reiki and to go to the next level? Because I have a lot of students which are on first level and they are afraid to go on the second level because after first level they had a lot of trauma healing, a lot of personal healings, a lot of hard stuff which goes out with Reiki practice. And when is the right time to go to the next level?
That is like some schools, they say 6 months or a year. I think it's really individual. I see it a little bit like anything in life. Say, if you go and do fitness and you have 10 people go and do fitness and start to lift weight, one needs to be for 1 year at 1 kilo, right? Maybe because of their physique, maybe because they only train once a week. Another person of their physique trains 3-4 times a week and therefore can quicker have maybe 5 kilo or 10 kilo. So it really is very, very individual. And you know what you mentioned too is when we stir up these things due to practicing the system of Reiki or yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, doesn't matter, it's really important that we stay grounded and centered, right? And again, so being in our body is so important, you know, no matter if you look at Tai Chi, Qigong, old-style Buddhist teaching, shamanism, yoga teachings, the first point of call is always like, for example, the root chakra, or in shamanism, really connecting to the earth. In Taoism, the Dantian, Hara or Tanden, in system of Reiki, being in your body just below your belly button, really that grounded and centeredness. Because then if these things come up, we are more stable to deal with it, like we're not overwhelmed because we really anchored and grounded. And I think this is another very important element in our modern days, because we're so in our head, right? We're so intellectual. We so much. We're on our phone now too. We're so much on our phone. We're constantly watching computer monitors. We're constantly asking why. So a lot of the practices I do when I go to this teacher in Japan is, first of all, really making sure if I'm really grounded, centered in my body. The other day, I met up with a Reiki teacher. I didn't know that this person was a Reiki teacher. And she said that she was doing some practice before she started with the system of Reiki. And she started to feel really ungrounded, really out of her body. And I said, well, what kind of practices did you do? Well, she was focusing too much on here instead of really in our body. And that is almost like creating, I always say, it's two images I use is like an upside down pyramid, very open here, but nothing down there. Then we become very unbalanced. But if we are like a mountain, so very strong root chakra, hara, tanden, whatever you call it, just below your navel, like a mountain, and it's like this. And when we become like a mountain, it's very traditional in Japan as well, like the Reiki 3 symbol and mantra, the imagery they use in traditional teachings is a mountain. And you become very stable as a mountain, but when you come to the top here, then you can see things very, very clearly. You can see very things far away. You see this open spaciousness. It's very wide. But the first thing we need to do is have this solid base. A mountain doesn't grow from the top, right? It grows from the bottom up like this. And it's the same with a tree. I live in front of a park. There's beautiful trees here. And not so long ago, maybe about a month and a half ago, we had a massive storm and a lot of trees fell over. And one of the reasons these trees fell over because the root system was not big enough, right? And if we first grow a really good root system, and this is why when we look at the meditations within the system of Reiki, is really doing the deep breathing into the hara, being really grounded. Also, if we look at the precepts, we see the same thing, right? Because today, actually, from a Japanese perspective, means being today really in your body. Most of the time, there is a discord between our body and our mind. And also we see this in the precepts. It's called Shinshin Kaizen. And the word Shinshin Kaizen is very traditional, and it's a harmony between your mind and body. My body is right here, but most of my time, my mind is in the past, or it's in the future, right? And so therefore there is a disharmony between my mind and body. But when we do these practices, really breathing deeply into our hara, becoming grounded, then automatically my body is here, my mind is here. And you know, we all know this. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you're talking to them and then suddenly you can see them drifting off to something in the future or in the past, and they go like, and you go, hello, I'm here, I'm talking to you, where are you? And it's because the mind-body harmony is not there. They're just somewhere else. So the mind is somewhere else. The body is right here. And this is really important, what we need to engage with, because if I talk to you and, you know, we're like this, you know, one of us drifts off into the past or the future, then we cannot have a good time together, right? You might feel, hey, Frans is not listening to me. I'm not being heard. Those kind of elements, for example, or yeah, we're not really focusing on each other. And it's the same when we do hands-on healing. If my mind is in the past, or if I'm thinking, oh, later on, I'm going to get a coffee and a little piece of cake, then my energy is also there, right? So we have to really investigate that the energy follows the mind. So it's all the time staying really present and focused.
Reiki light. Just turned off. It's better. I want to ask you one more question. uh, which of Reiki principle is most important for you? If you can uh, choose one of the Reiki principles, which one is the most?
Oh, I would. Yeah, that's a really good question. It depends on my day, right? I do get sometimes angry, sometimes worried, sometimes I'm not grateful, sometimes not I'm true to my way, my being, and sometimes I'm not compassionate to myself and others. I also think that we need to be aware that actually these precepts are all interlinked with each other. We cannot take one out, for example. A while ago, I met someone and they were a bit angry. And they said, yeah, but I'm being true to my way and my being. And I said, well, you're forgetting the whole precept, do not anger, right? so, so this is why the precepts are almost in a very specific order. The more we let go of our anger, the less worried we can be, the more grateful we can be, then the more true to our way and our being we can be, and then the more compassionate we can be to ourselves and others. I cannot really be compassionate to myself and others if I still have a lot of anger and worry, if I'm not really grateful, if I'm not true to my way and my being. So they're all intertwined. But if I would pick one, I would actually go with compassion. Because compassion is ultimately the most profound healing element. And all of these traditions talk about it. Love, compassion, kindness. However, most of the time, our compassion or kindness has strings attached to it. You know, we give something to someone and then we do it because we want to be validated. We want something back. We want to hear, oh, thank you, I love you. So particularly during COVID, when I could not do hands-on healing or teach and travel, I started to really engage more in my community, just walking through the streets and say, good morning, good afternoon, how are you today, etc., and be kind and compassionate. And it's really interesting. My kid is here from Australia for 6 weeks and hasn't been here for 3.5 years due to COVID. And so now when we're walking to town, Fable, my kid, says, who are all these people who are saying hello to you and who are being kind? And the other day, Fable was saying to a friend, oh, Dad often gets like a little this for free, a little that for free. These people just give him things for free. And I said, yeah, but how does that really come into place? And I said, you know, just being kind. I don't do it to get something back, but it automatically happens. You know, if I give something, I need to open my hand, right? We also don't do hands-on healing like this. We do it like,
Yes.
but the act of giving is the same action I need to do to receive. A lot of people don't know how to receive love. They don't know how to receive things. One of my things, what I enjoy when I travel around, if I see something I like, I might buy it. Might not even for myself, and I throw it in a drawer. And then some days I might sit in a cafe and maybe someone says, oh, you know, I was looking for this the other day, but I can't find it. Oh, I have it in my drawer. Come here again tomorrow and I have something for you. And I go, oh, what? And I give it, I say, take it, buy. And I go, what, but, and sometimes they think you want something back, right? But that is not the case. But when we do this from compassion, automatically we start to go from this to this. So showing compassion to yourself and others is all about openness, is love, it's about caring, it's about being friendly. That ultimately doesn't cost that much, but you get so much back in a way. So for me, compassion to yourself and others is like a loop. The more we compassionate to ourselves, the more we compassionate to other people, the more we compassionate to ourselves, the more. So it's like this. So yeah, if I would pick one, but again, if I have a lot of anger and worry, oh, I'm worried that this person might say something if I give them a book, or if I just say, hey, you look beautiful, or then it's already tricky, right? To be, or if I have a lot of anger and I go, yeah, but that person looks different than me, and I'm not gonna engage with them because, you know, they maybe have a different life or a different outfit on or a different style. If there's fear, then already it's harder to be compassionate. Oh.
You said something, you have anger, you're not grateful, because we are just people. One of my friends, when I am in that mood, she said to me, no, you can't be like this, you're a Reiki teacher. I said to her, I'm only human, and that's normal for all of us, but Reiki precepts help me to have anchor in this moment, to take back to this moment and to take back to good frequency. I want to ask you, when is not my good day, when I'm not so okay, can I work Reiki treatments with others?
It depends. I mean, no, again, is I see it always like, say I'm not feeling that well. Maybe I have a cold or something like that, or I have a headache or whatever. And then I've got a client booked in, or a friend is sick, or ask for help. If I hold on to, let's use that headache or cold as a cloud. If I hold on to that cloud and say, oh, like this, oh, I've got a headache, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I feel sick, then better not to do a treatment. But if I can, due to practice, say for example, I have a cold, or I have a headache, or I have a physical issue, but due to practice, we can see the other element, the beautiful blue sky behind the cloud. Then it's okay if we can do for an hour or for 10 minutes, not grab that cloud, but actually focus more on the big blue sky beyond the clouds, then it's fine. And then maybe after the treatment is finished, we grab, due to habitual patterns, this cloud again. But the more we train ourselves also like this, not focusing on the clouds, but actually realizing that beyond that is this wide open space. It's already the sun. Then also a hands-on healing session on someone else becomes a training ground to do this in my daily life as well. So I see hands-on healing on other people, not just for them, but if I do it correctly in the right recipe, then hands-on healing becomes a training ground for me to be like that in my daily life, not get caught up in these clouds. But Frans, remember, because now my habitual pattern for most of us is grabbing these clouds. So if I can do 3-4 treatments a day and not grab on these clouds for 45 minutes, then that becomes a training ground for myself to also be like that in my daily life. And so here is another really important point here, what people often don't see. In the precepts, Mikosui doesn't say on the massage table or on a mat or on your yoga pillow. Mikosui said today, traditionally in Japan, means all the things we do today in our daily life. Not just on a massage table, not just in a Reiki chair or on your bed or on a yoga mat or on a meditation pillow, but in your daily life. So it's really important that we engage with these in our daily life. And then for me, your life becomes different. And then for me, your life is Reiki. you emanate this light, you know, and I think actually that is a more profound healing than hands-on healing.
Yes.
Because hands-on healing is limited. I can maybe do 10 hands-on healing sessions a day, for example. But in my daily life, I come in contact with more than 10 people. If I go out, go shopping, walk in the supermarket, go to work in a big office, go for coffee in a cafe. If you really look on how many people walk past you, and again, you can't all do hands-on healing on these people, but you could radiate out love and kindness and compassion. And that in itself is really bringing Reiki into your daily life, so that everything you touch becomes a healing or a blessing. Now, then of course there's a flip side. The other person or other people or animals or whatever who come into that contact with that light also need to be ready to open to it, right?
Does Reiki work even person doesn't believe in Reiki? She wants to come to try Reiki and goes to you. And does Reiki work then?
Yeah, as long, so even if they are coming, there is already a gap, right? There is an opening. There is a little, I'm curious. I don't believe it works, but I'm here anyway. So there is an opening for that already. And some people, you know, what I noticed in all these 25 years doing thousands of treatments and classes and etc., is that some people are ripe, like a ripe peach. They might say, I don't believe in it, but they lay down and they go, what the hell just happened? I feel so good. I feel like what just take place? They're like so ripe. And some people are not so ripe, right? It's like, I often describe it as a peach tree. When it's peach season, the peaches are ripe at different times, even if the peach tree has lots of peaches in it. They're not all ripe at the same time. Same for us. Are we ripe? Are we ripe or ready to receive love, right? Are we ready to receive? So the word Reiki, in the olden days, the word Rei stands also for a shaman praying for rain. And you see three little bowls in that kanji. And it's not the praying for rain for wet rain, right? But actually is praying to realize that this universal rain is falling on us 24 hours a day, right? 24 hours a day. But the way we are being taught that now it's on, now it's off. Now it's on, now it's off. And therefore we work very confusingly. We don't believe that actually now that we're even talking, it's raining already. Or in other words, we cannot say, if sometimes people translate Reiki as universal energy, we cannot say, now I'm connected to the universal energy and now I'm not. It's impossible. Investigate for yourself. We cannot say, now I'm only 10% connected to the universal energy and now 100%. Always 100%, because you're right smack bang in the middle of universal energy. You cannot step out of it. The only way we think we can step out of it is our confused mind, but it's not the truth, right? It's the same again when we put all these clouds in front of the sun. We say the sun is not there. Of course the sun is there, right? But if we don't have the clarity and we're a bit stupid, sorry, then we say, oh, the sun is not there. It's really, no, the sun, it doesn't exist. But if we investigate and we let go of our stupidity a little bit, then we can see that the sun is behind it. So it's the same. We are 24 hours a day interconnected with the universe, 100%. We cannot be 10% or 50% or, well, always. And this is what the word Reiki traditionally meant. Remembering that you are infuse that you are the universe. And that's it.
So I wanted to ask a question. Does Reiki have a contraindications? But does the universe have a indications?
I mean, sometimes what happens when we start to practice, we stir up things. You know, people, it's a bit like this. If this glass is full of water and I have some sediment, some rubbish here at the bottom, and if I start to shake it up, then things come to the surface. So when we do start to do hands-on healing, things come to the surface. Don't get caught up in these things either. You know, sometimes what we do, we go like this. This comes to the surface, and then we feel it going out. And then we go, oh, I wonder what went out of my body. Oh, I wonder what that was, what went just out of my energy. And then we grab it again. No need to do it. Let it go, right? So, but this is how we work. So as things got stirred up, don't get caught up in it. Let it go. No need to investigate. No need. Was it something from the past? What was it? Why was it this color? Then we grabbing it again. And when we grab it like this, is our hand open or closed? It's closed. Is our energy flowing or not flowing? It's not flowing. Is this healthy? Walk around with your fist like this the whole day. You realize it's very uncomfortable, right? Your muscles tense, and after a while, very difficult to open your hand. So let it go in an open hand, always with an open hand. Things come and go in an open hand. I'm not getting caught up in it.
I want something to share with you. My friend, she doesn't want to learn Reiki. She said, I want you to work on me. And a lot of people believe that somebody is doing that better on them than they can do on themselves. And what do you think about it? Is it better to go to the Reiki practitioner or to learn Reiki by yourself?
I mean, again, it's we can look at it from different viewpoints, and that is some people don't believe in their own luminosity. We might say to them, oh, you have this inner great bright light inside of you. You are a divine being already. You are already like this. And I go like, what are you talking about? I've been in the dark for 20 years, like this. And so for people like that, it's really hard to believe that they are this luminosity. So therefore they need someone to practice on them. And then due to this practice, maybe, oh, hang on, I start to feel it now. I had a client not so long ago. She came for the first time, never done Reiki treatment. After the Reiki treatment, she sets up and she goes, this is really strange, Frans. I said, what do you mean? She said, I feel so happy. And she goes, but it's a happiness what is coming from inside of me. You didn't make me happy. The treatment didn't make me happy.
Wow.
I said, it's something what is inside, is coming from inside, makes me happy. And that is really, and so she came back and again she had that same thing. And I said, well, maybe you need to learn how to do it or do a practice to tap into this inner happiness again. And normally we rely on a partner to make us happy, or cookies or chocolate or the weather. And the other day it was raining and a friend from mine said, oh, it's raining, man. Where's the sun? I said, you are the sun. Don't forget. Dance in the fucking rain,
It's sometimes needed that we must go to other Reiki practitioners to receive treatment. Yeah. In some of our lives, when we have so hard times, we can't do on ourselves. I had that period of time. I can't do hands-on healing. I can't do anything. Last day I was thinking about this life, and one thought came in my mind. When we are so good, beautifully good, we don't work on ourselves as much as we need to do. When we are very, very bad, we don't even do at least Reiki treatments or at all. We do Reiki. When I said we, I said most of the people doesn't do Reiki treatments only when they are okay, but some things comes wrong. But when are very bad, they can do. When they're very great, they think they don't need Reiki treatments or any Reiki practice or meditations at all. What do you think about it?
You actually, this is a a very important element. We need to do it today. Today means every day. Because we don't know when shit hits the fan. We might feel really fantastic today, but tomorrow, the other day, I walked past a shop and the shop is closing down, and I occasionally used to go in there. And I heard that the owner had passed away, and so I talked to the woman. And said, "Oh, I'm his wife." I said, "Oh, sorry to hear about this." And she tells me the story that he's 62. One day he wasn't feeling so well. September. And in March, he was dead. He had some very rare immune system. So we don't know, right? He had a successful business, was always happy, healthy. We don't know. We don't know when death comes. So therefore, better to practice every day, no matter if you feel healthy, sick, or really sick. But of course, sometimes I still go for massages. I still love to lay on a table and receive hands-on healing or distance healing or on a chair. But at the same time, I still need to work on myself as well. So we need to combine it, and I think also I go regularly for a massage because it's not just hands-on healing. Sometimes we get a bit tense physically is good. Normally, like this massage therapist I go to, she always says, Frans, you always come for a massage, even that your muscles are not knotted, you're not in pain. So most people only come to me when they're in pain. And she said, actually, I like it when you come because you keep it actually fresh so that you don't get the muscles knotted, right? Normally, we go to a doctor when we're sick, or we go to a Reiki practitioner when something is wrong, but actually we should do it as a preventative so that our energy, our body, and our mind stay strong and clear, that maybe we do not get sick in the first place. That is the most important element. Preventing, and this is where we often wait way too long for healing for ourselves.
Yes, I have one friend, and she says, "Oh, okay, I'm not good. I'm not good now, but I will call you for a few days when I'm better." I said to her, "Do you go to the doctor when you are sick or when you are healthy?" And she said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's bizarre. Yeah.
Yes. I want people in this live to ask questions if they have questions. We are here to answer your questions. So use this time. We will be here 10 or 50 minutes more. And Frans, you can talk about your books. Which books do you have about Reiki? Maybe there are a lot of Reiki practitioners here with us. How we can order your books?
You order them on Amazon. I have, so this is my latest book, The Way of Reiki, The Inner Teachings of Mikasui. I've got The Inner Heart of Reiki, Reiki Inside. I've also written some books with Bronwyn as a co-author, the Reiki Source Book, The Japanese Art of Reiki. So yeah, you can find them. You can also find a lot of the teachings on my website. There's lots of blogs. I like writing lots of blogs, so do lots of interviews like this. Also on YouTube, I've got an Instagram. My Instagram is a little bit less Reiki. It's more about who I am, but live. But for me, this is also, I think, we can see when someone is living Reiki. For me, it's so important, it's not just, for example, when I go to my teacher in Japan, And my teacher's teacher was a very famous Japanese priest. He was like, everybody knew Sakai Daiajari, very famous Japanese priest. And so that's my teacher's teacher. And when I go and train with my teacher in Japan, then he would check with me if I'm angry or worried or fearful or if I'm compassionate. He pushes buttons, you know, to really see, okay, you talk about it, but have you embodied it, right? And this is so important. Are we embodying it in our daily life? I saw a question going by and it says, if I ever worked with Penelope Quest, I met her many years ago for a cup of tea, but I haven't really worked with her yet. For me,
more questions, Frans. One Reiki student asks why she always fall asleep when she is doing Reiki treatment.
Yeah, because most of the time we lay down, right? And so another time when we lay down, actually most of our life, actually all our life, is when we go to sleep. So we lay on a massage table or on a bed and we do hands-on. Automatically, it's the same when I walk into the kitchen here, even if I have to get some water, I go, I get a bit hungry because this is where we cook, right? So traditionally, you would do hands-on healing with your eyes open and sitting, right? You would sit and try it like this. You know, if you start to feel sleepy, sometimes also depends on if you're sitting and you start to feel sleepy. I mean, sometimes we have not enough sleep, or one of the elements is a little bit unbalanced in ourselves. But then over time, when we do hands-on healing sitting and with the eyes open, we become more and more balanced, and then it becomes easier and easier and less to fall asleep. But sometimes, therefore, if you feel sleepy and you do hands-on healing during the day, for example, then it's better first to have a nap and then afterwards do hands-on healing.
Great advice. What you can recommend, when is the perfect time to work Reiki treatments? Is it in the morning, or when is better? I feel the energy better in the morning. I like to start the day with Reiki, and all my day is beautiful when I start with some Reiki hands-on healing. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the morning is great, of course. As you say, you feel fresh. It's like a shower, you know, but
Yeah.
some people like shower in the evening. And then, so it also depends, say, if you're a parent and you start to do hands-on healing and your baby or your little kid's like, mom. And then that might then not be the right moment. So hands-on healing, yeah, it really depends on the individual. But yeah, that is the right moment is the right moment for each individual. It's just also like, what do we eat? You know, I cannot say a general, this is the time you need to eat, or this is the amount of food you need to eat. And it's very individualized. And therefore, the teachings need to become one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend to work with another people, with another humans, when we are first level or after second level, or when is the good time to start work with other peoples? I started with the first level.
We can also say, when is the right time that we are being loving, kind to someone else? Right? Right now. This doesn't matter, you know. So, for example, if we say Reiki 2 and you're walking on the street and a friend falls over and, oh, can you do some hands-on healing? And you go like, I haven't only done Reiki 1, sorry. That is not very compassionate, you know. You want to share love. Just see it as love. Actually, the system of Reiki is just love all the time.
I read the best definition of Reiki. Reiki is love, and Reiki is pure love. Yeah. And that is the most beautiful definition of Reiki I ever read.
Yeah, this is why we can see in the precept is compassion, you know, really compassion. So not a compassion with strings attached, but pure compassion, ego-less compassion.
When you said about ego, in one of my Reiki books I read, the first sentence was ego goes, Reiki flows.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what the thing that I saw doing with Reiki students, with students who have a big ego, they can't work Reiki. They they can see themselves in Reiki, or all the time they have some bad stuff about the Reiki, and Reiki is guilty for everything in their lives. Did you have something like that? Reiki and ego.
Absolutely. But ultimately, we need to check for ourselves. You know, we have this saying, let go of the I or let go of the ego. But then we also have to investigate, where is this I? Where is this ego we need to let go of? And then maybe when we truly investigate, we come to a conclusion that is not there in the first place at all. It's a false belief of that there is a solid I somewhere in my body or an ego somewhere.
Okay. I'm reading, there is no question anymore, but we can talk about Reiki for one more question.
Okay.
To, to read, is Reiki dangerous?
Um, yes and no. I mean, again, is fitness dangerous? If we follow the right recipe, no. But if we are stupid and we're going to lift weights what we actually should not lift because we're not ready, yeah, then it's going to be dangerous. And so sometimes also it depends on a practitioner. I get many clients and they say, oh, you know, my heart chakra is blocked. And I said, well, how do you know? Oh, I went to this Reiki practitioner and they told me that my heart chakra is blocked. And now I have pain here all the time. Of course, if I say to someone, you know, your heart chakra is blocked, where's their mind going all the time? Their mind is, you actually installing worry in the person. You're not helping them at all. Right? So in that way, it can become quite tricky. So therefore, we have to realize what we're saying. Are we installing worry and fear in a client or in ourselves? Or are we actually, so are we helping to be like this or like this, right? For yourself as well. Are we becoming more narrow-minded or more open-minded? Are we becoming more closed off, fearful, anxiety, or are we becoming more compassionate? It's actually really simple. All we have to do is for ourselves. Am I more like this or like this?
On one Reiki class, one student asked me, if I work Reiki classes and if I receive Reiki initiation, will I get divorced?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
And I was okay, but I know she's in a very bad marriage when her husband is alcoholic and she's in very bad situation.
Yeah,
I said it doesn't depends on Reiki, it depends on you.
absolutely.
And she was in fear while we are doing all that Reiki classes. And few days after that, her husband didn't allow her to work Reiki. She burned out her scripts, her certificates, and she's still in that marriage and she's unhappy. And we can't help anybody. And this was my hard lesson to learn. I must accept I can't. When we finish Reiki, we want to work it with everybody. We want to help all the world. We want to heal all the world. But some of the hardest lessons was I can't help everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same. It is the saying, we can take a horse to the water, but we can't make it drink. This is the same. You know, you might be offering hands-on healing to lots of people, but they need to be willing to do it themselves, to be engaging with it. We can show love and kindness to people, but if they don't want to receive it, then, yeah, no, that is their journey. So therefore, we cannot help everybody, you know, and ultimately, we only can help ourselves, right? We can offer teachings and ideas, but you still have to do it. You still have to sit on your butt. You still have to engage with the practice. It's anything, you know.
Is it good to offer Reiki treatments when we saw somebody isn't okay?
Yeah.
I said some people, some Reiki teacher says Reiki doesn't offer us. One who needs Reiki will learn, will search for Reiki.
Yeah.
Will ask for Reiki. It's not good to offer Reiki treatment. I don't agree at all with that.
Again, for me, it's love and compassion. So why not offer love and compassion and kindness to someone? It's very simple. We make it too complicated. I think we make a lot of these spiritual practices way too complicated. It's so simple that we don't believe it. I think this is it. You know, it's again, it's so simple that all we have to do is look beyond the clouds and there's the sun, but we don't believe it. You know, we rather focus on these clouds, or we get caught up by the rainbow or the shape of the clouds or the darkness of the clouds. And then we don't believe that beyond that is actually beautiful luminosity that we're already infused with 24 hours a day with the universe. That's it. It's actually so simple.
I saw something that a lot of people doesn't believe in Reiki so much because Reiki is so simple. Because Reiki is quite simple, there is no a lot of stuff. It's a lot of Reiki practice, but not a lot of things to learn, and only with your mind to go. Somebody Reiki considers as technique, not the way of living, just the technique with all that technical knowledge, which
Yeah.
I need to learn more and more and more. I'm not prepared. I'm not enough. I'm not good to, Reiki therapist because I don't know everything. We need to know everything, and then I will do Reiki treatments. What do you think about it?
Yeah, we find it very difficult to be. You know, we're always so busy to just be without constantly thinking about the past and the future, but really in the present, being, enjoying, living, being kind. That's it. And then
Like
when we like this, the energy starts to flow like crazy.
Some Reiki students doesn't have feeling of energy in the start. Maybe for a long time doesn't have feeling about Reiki energy. What do you recommend them? And they think the energy doesn't work.
Yeah.
They think that they are not good. They are everybody works that better than them, and they quit Reiki because they think, okay, I don't see auras, I don't see blocked chakras, I don't have that all that feelings. I'm not good Reiki therapist. I don't work with others. Maybe I will work with me, but maybe not. I will go to others, and I quit.
This is when we have very misunderstood the teachings. For example, it's very easy to feel energy. Don't do this at home. Stick your finger in a PowerPoint. It's also very easy to see colors. You grab a metal bar. Again, don't do it at home and hit yourself on the head. You see stars and colors is great. But again, when we look at the system of Reiki and we look at the precepts, what precepts traditional also are instructions, it doesn't say anywhere, see colors, see an aura, see chakras, feel energy. No, it says be kind. Let go of your anger, let go of your worry. That's the most important thing. Really, we get caught up in these pretty clouds, but they're still clouds. We get caught up in the rainbow cloud and the colorful cloud and the shape of the cloud. but we still caught up in these clouds instead of what is beyond there. Where is this wide open space of love and compassion? And here's another thing. Often also I can see then when people practicing and they start to maybe see colors or feel more energy, then it becomes an ego trip, right? But I am an intuitive. I am a medium. I can see colors. I can see chakras. And it becomes an ego trip. And actually, it doesn't become loving and kind. So therefore, the precepts of the system of Reiki is one of the most important elements. And yet it's not taught that much because ultimately the precepts are letting go about the I and the ego. And so it's a very important element that we start to, again, it's part of the recipe. But if we miss out one part of the recipe, for example, the precepts, if we skip over really quickly and we don't stir the butter for 20 minutes, for example, in the recipe, then we don't get the desired result. Actually, we're just feeding the ego, feeding the I. Look at, I can feel this, or I feel more energy. I had once a client many, many years ago. I was in Australia, in Sydney, and this guy books in. So he comes for a treatment, and I said, oh, what can I do for you? He said, oh, I'm a Reiki master, and I want to have this treatment to see whose hands are hotter. And I look at him and I start to laugh, and I walk to the front, to the door of my Reiki room. I open the door and I said, thank you, nice meeting you. And he goes like, yeah, but I'm coming here for a treatment. I said, no, you're not coming here for a treatment. Out. I said, it's not a competition.
Wow.
You know, hands are hotter than the other person's hand. Then we have completely misunderstood what it is about. And so I said bye. He was very upset. He had a lot of anger. I said, well, I'll see you later. But this is what it is, right? We get so caught up in it. So don't get caught up in all of that phenomena. And, you know, if you look at all of these very ancient traditions and their teachings, then all of them warn for this. Don't get caught up in these sensations, what we smell, hear, taste, but instead focus on the love and compassion and kindness. And then we create world peace.
I like the Michael Jackson song "Heal the World," make it a better place. And when you said all of that, to feel all the love, all the compassion, empathy for other peoples, that is a living, bright Reiki light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frans, I am so honored and blessed to have you as a guest in this Instagram Live. Thank you for all the kind answers. Thank you for all the love you shared. Thank you for all the light we feel all the time. We felt all the time. And I'm so honored to, and I'm so grateful for you and for your beautiful words, for your beautiful lessons, which are more than lessons. Thank you once again. So people, follow Frans and ask him if you have some questions more. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. And what you want to say for the finish of this live? Which Reiki message you want to share with all the people?
Just go out and be love.
Being true to yourself. When I read your sentence, working on myself is finding your true nature.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And discover and find your true nature. Have a blessed day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.